Jiu-Jitsu is built off of a core set of principles. This is something that gets tossed around a lot, but I feel like most people that say it still don't really. I don't want to say most people. Some people that say it probably don't really know what that means because they'll say things like concepts and principles like they're interchangeable or they're even remotely close to the same thing, which they're absolutely not. So a principle is a constant. A principle is something that, like, if you said this is a principle of driving a car, every moment that you drive a car, it's active. It's there, okay? So a good example of a principle of jiu-jitsu is weight distribution. Your weight is somewhere when you're grappling, somewhere. So it's a principle. Concepts are generally manipulations of those principles. So a concept could be like the concept of off balancing your opponent, right? It's not a move. It's a concept, and that concept is a manipulation of weight distribution. So you could say, I want to make his left leg heavy. I distribute his weight into his left leg with this technique. It's a concept. So you have a set of principles that are always active. There's not that many of them. You know, I've heard people say in the past, these 30 principles. There's definitely not 30. I mean, unless you're like breathing. Breathing is a principle of jiu-jitsu. Well, yeah, of course. Okay, right. You know, things of that nature. Leverage is a principle, right? Things like that. So we can build on those principles. And the way that I try to explain to my guys, especially when they're new, is, look, man, all of grappling is based on these principles. All of the concepts we use are manipulations of these principles, and all of the techniques that we do are applications of this idea. They're applications of concepts based on principle. That's all they are. So if someone says, what do you do when someone pushes your chest right here? We start at the most principle answer. What's their goal? Okay, he's pushing my chest because he wants to move me. Great. I know what he wants to do. So weight distribution says if my weight's on the floor, my opponent's going to have a terrible time trying to move me. If my weight's on my opponent's going to have a hard time moving himself, but moving me is relatively easy. If my weight's off of my opponent, moving himself is very easy, but moving me is tremendously difficult. So he's pushing my chest because he wants to move me. Weight distribution says, well, if he wants to move me, I should probably put my weight on the floor. So that's the base of what we're going to do now to answer this problem. What concept should we use? Should we use misdirection? Are you on top or are you on bottom? If I'm on bottom, I should use off balancing to give that hand a job, so that he now has a weight distribution dilemma where he either takes his hand off and posts it on the floor to catch himself and keep from falling over, or he leaves his hand on my chest and falls in that direction and now falls over because he didn't base out. If I was on top, we would use a misdirection concept where we say, all right, he wants to push into my chest. I will put my weight on the floor now so that he can no longer move me, and I will move one lever up. So if it's a hand on my chest, I'm going to go to the elbow, and I will move that limb side to side since it intends on pushing me forward and backwards. So they would misdirect. And then we would say, and then you would get into like what people consider to be the little details of a technique. So you would say like, should I use a thumb up grip? Where on the elbow should I grab it? Should I turn my chest a little bit? Where should my head go? Those are the little details of a technique that people almost always obsess over, when in reality, the base of the technique was weight distribution and misdirection. And so it's like when a white belt learns weight distribution and then learns concepts like misdirection, now that white belt will, in a roll, problem solve that position and answer that. Now, maybe the application they use is something they just made up in the moment and it's complete garbage and it doesn't even really work well for them. But then they have a base to build an application off of. So now they have an idea and they go, I tried to move his arm, man, and it kind of worked. It did, you know, what could, use your thumb on top of his elbow to drop his elbow a little bit so that when you scoop it, you can move it out and over your shoulder and then you get the inside space, yada, yada. And then we build on that. Do you see what I'm saying? And so the applications that they learn in class are very easy to understand because by the time they're blue belts, they have such a deep understanding of the principle and the concept behind them that they're just going, I get all of this. There's no mystery here. I get how all of this works at a foundational level. Now I just got to figure out where to put my hands and my feet and things like that. So they get it. There's none of this like, if you ask a white belt in the gym, or a blue belt I should say, because then they'd understand. You say, hey man, how does a sweep work? They're not going to give you this rehearsed answer like most black belts will give you, where they say a sweep is where you take away one corner of their base and put your hips under their hips and then turn them over the corner. They won't say that. They'll say, well, a sweep is a manipulation of weight distribution. So most of the time it's going to be like a Kazushi mechanic into a corner. And then they're going to say, like, are you talking about this kind of sweep? So is it a corner reversal? Is it a hip stack? Is it a fold? Is it a lift? What is it? You know what I'm saying? Like, and those different motions and those different ideas are things that are driven into them from day one. And I think that the most important thing is we have all levels classes. We don't have separated classes like that. A white belt, a blue belt, a purple belt, a brown belt, and a black belt are all learning the same jiu-jitsu. They're all learning the same application. They're just asking different questions. A white belt goes, what is that? White belts don't know what side control is. They don't know what an arm bar is. They go, what is that? You go, that's an arm bar. The blue belt goes, well, how do I do it? Like, well, you do it like this. The purple belt goes, why do you do it? You go, well, we do it because he's pushing our chest from the mount. We have to do an arm bar. We have to do something. He's going to shove us over. Okay. Brown belt goes, whoa, when do I do it? Well, right when he tries to off balance you in this direction, this is when we do it. And then the black belt goes, where do we do this? Because that black belt is considering all of the other options that happen in that position and how he can build a dilemma off of that. And he goes, well, where does this belong in relation to these techniques over here? And they can all learn the same move in the same class and all ask that same question and all grow that day without you needing to change what you're teaching to any of them, as long as you begin with, here's the principle, here's the concept, here's the application. Simple as that. And you can teach people, and dude, I'm telling you right now, like, you'll watch some of these white belts. I have a white belt that's been training for 7 months that's had like close to 10 super fights with blue belts. He's submitted every single one of them. He's winning tournaments left and right. He gives black belts terrible fits when they come through the gym. And he's not a star athlete. He was a fat kid that got skinny and got tall, essentially. I have a purple belt that submits black belts every weekend. Ryan Aiken is Ryan Aiken, honestly. Like, he combat jiu-jitsu world champion, so on and so forth. And all of that comes from, they're all training in the same room. All of that comes from the same class, the same instruction, the same whatever. And I've always done it that way. I just understand more than I did 6 years ago or 10 years ago or whatever now. You know what I mean? Like, I just teach a better class now. But I think that that's the model that's given me the most success.